Are you stressed and feeling overwhelmed? Seriously, tell me, because I promise I won't take it personally. Because the reality is that most of us are, especially when we're dealing with personal health challenges or even taking care of somebody with a health challenge. So we understand you, we get you. But guess what? I have a special treat for you. My next guest completely gets you because he has turned this amazing gift that he has been given to help families create more balance, energy, and freedom in their lives, to help them live the life that they were actually meant to live. This is such an inspirational story. You are gonna want to hear this. It's so, so beautiful. So stay tuned. Welcome back to another amazing Madiha MD show. I am Dr. Madiha Saeed, a board-certified integrative holistic family physician, aka Holistic Mom MD, here to educate and empower you guys from the inside out. I am so honored to have Mike George with me on today's show. Such an inspiration. Mike and Jan George co-founded Soaring Families for one reason and one reason only: to help families impacted by disability to create more balance, energy, and freedom in their lives. After being told that their son Ben would never walk, talk, or even go to school, their hope for a fulfilling life vanished, and they were continuously handed laundry list after laundry list with no path of resolving any of them, and believed that there was nothing anybody could do to actually help them. But guess what? Ben kept proving the experts wrong. Oh, yay! And never stopped pushing his parents to help him live an energized life. He awakened a deep passion inside of them to help families break through and start living the lives that they were actually meant to live. Mike and Jan's many years of leading and coaching teams in their work lives uniquely qualifies them to be guided to reducing stress and easing your fears, especially with everything that they have been through. They're so inspirational. I told you, you're going to be inspired. Oh, yay. Thank you so much, Mike, for being on today's show. We are so honored to have you on today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, really. It's an honor to be here. I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
Well, I would love this. We really want to know more. Please tell us more about Soaring Families. How did it start? You know, what is your goals? What are you trying to achieve? Please tell us more.
Sure. So I guess I'd start with when we were going through all the pains of raising Ben and all the things that we encountered. We saw that, I guess our first thing was that we thought we were the only ones. We thought that we were alone, and obviously we're not. And when we talked to other families going through the same thing, we realized that they're experiencing the exact same overwhelm and fear and emotions that we were. And some of the things that we learned through Ben, we found that we could actually help them with those lessons that we learned. And ironically, even though we didn't have any more time to give to anybody else, it felt so much, it was so fulfilling to actually help other people. And that's what brought us the most joy and fulfillment, even though we were dealing with all kinds of craziness in our lives. And so as the years went on, we realized that we could probably take all the things that Ben has taught us and the things that we've been through and help families more on a much broader scale. And that's really how Soaring Families came up, because we really want to help families soar all above the barriers and the fear in their lives. And I know that sounds maybe a little hokey, but really that's about what we want to try to do. And the things that we realized that were in common were exactly what you said, the opposite, actually. They have no balance. There's no energy. You're exhausted all the time. And any sort of freedom you thought you have, well, that went out the window as soon as you, exactly. And you always felt trapped. So those were the kinds of things that we thought if we could, we've in some ways, we've been able to overcome those in our life, although, you know, life goes on and we sort of slip back into things don't always work out. But if you can believe in that and find a way to, generate some more energy in your life, and even the small things, life becomes a whole lot easier to live. And we want to show people and help people how to do that.
Oh, beautiful, 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 beautiful. But then that becomes tricky, because how are you guys actually helping families create more balance, energy, and freedom?
Great question. So the first thing that we realized is that we couldn't do everything all ourselves. That even though, I was probably the first person to say, no, I'll look after it. I'm the only one that knows. I've got to do it. And then at some point, your body tells you that, well, no, that's not possible. Maybe when you were younger, you can, but if you're spending all this time doing this thing, then you're not spending time in another area. And so the solution to that, at least in our case, and I know in a lot of families, is really to bring help in, bring a caregiver into your life. And that can free up all kinds of time and energy, and find a way for, even if it's just a couple of hours a day. And so what we've learned over the years is how to do that effectively, how to bring a great caregiver into your life. You just don't want anybody, a warm body, to kind of go through the motions. There's a formula that we've figured out on how to do that. So that's the first thing, is you need help. Bring a caregiver into your life and know when to do that. Once you've sort of made that decision, it's very liberating, honestly. And the second thing that we want to help people do is to improve their coping skills, or their fitness to cope, because none of us are really built or trained on how to be fit to handle a stressful situation.
Absolutely.
Much like your physical fitness, we call it your coping fitness. And so what we want to do is show you how to do that, what things you need to do to actually get prepared, because there'll be unplanned and stressful events that'll happen all the time. And the best way to deal with those is to be ready for them, or to be fit enough to deal with it. And that's the other thing we want to help families with, is to sort of build that fitness level, if you will. And then the last really is about give you the motivation. So Ben's story is incredibly motivational. And he continues to surprise us even to this day. And so, if not only in the caregiving and the coping side, we kind of want to be maybe your cheerleader, and to show you and to motivate you to push for the best things in your life, and not necessarily settle for, sort of middle of the road things. So that's how we want to do that.
I love it. So can you please, let's start with coping fitness. So where do you start families when they really want to optimize their coping fitness?
Well, so if you go to our site, soaringfamilies.com, there's actually a free guide that gives you an outline of that. Yeah. So to start with, I guess there'd be a couple of strategies you can do, which we call them. And the first is what we would call, you win the next shift. So if you're in a stressful situation, winning the next shift is all about sort of breaking down the day or the problem into small enough bite-sized chunks that you're confident you can overcome. Because it's often that there's too much thrown at you at once and you don't even know where to begin. And the analogy we like to use is at a sports event. So if you're a coach of a team, your players don't play the whole game, they'll play it in shifts. And the idea is that if you were to win each shift, then you'd win the game. And so the idea here is that if you win the next shift in whatever you're dealing with, if you can break it down into those pieces, then when it's all over, you've won, so to speak. The second part is to take that analogy a little further and start to visualize a really positive outcome. So you're mired in all these problems, and you think, oh my gosh, how's this going to end? If you can visualize that, as it becomes a lot easier for you to find your way through it. And we always say that if you can dream something up, if you can visualize it, there's always a path to get there. So those two things go hand in hand. The third thing that we want to help families with is to really focus on abundance, because we're all thrown, everything, all these negative messages and fear, and here's all the things that are wrong with your child, or here's all the things that are going wrong in your life, and there's no way to deal with those. So if you can sort of separate yourself from those negative messages, and focus on the things that are going well, even if they seem so insignificant, that can then start to improve your whole outlook on things. And the last way to do it is to feed your spirit, because we're all spiritual beings. And the way you do that, exactly. Yeah. The way you do that is a couple of ways. Is you want to develop a stillness practice, what we would call it. And for some that's praying, for some that's meditating. Just spend an hour, quiet your mind, part of the day, every day. The third is to find your champions. So people that'll build you up, not people that want to tear you down. So it kind of feeds on itself, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And you would be a great person to build people up, just all the energy that you have there. Exactly. And the last thing is really, as hard as it can be when you're in a tough situation, is really make love a part of your life. Give love and accept love. And if you can sort of practice those on a regular basis, then your stress level can over time will actually get lower.
Wow. So the next, I love those pieces of advice. But now let's go to caregivers, right?
Sure.
Because what are some of the key things that someone should really look for when they want to bring a caregiver into their lives?
Sure. So on the surface, it seems like it's fairly straightforward, but when you really get into it, there are a lot of things you need to consider. But a couple of things that you should is to really figure out, what is it that you want the caregiver to do? Like, have it very clear in your mind. These are the tasks, or these are the things you expect of them. You often have to write them down, rather than just, if you haven't thought through them all, then you're kind of setting yourself for a few problems down the road. So take the time to do that, and then take that description of what you want and sort of compare and evaluate that with the person you're bringing in or the person you're interviewing, right? So that you can find at least a good match from the outset. The second thing really is to get yourself prepared, because your life is going to change. If you have a child, or if you have an aging parent, as an example, bringing a third person in or somebody new is going to change the whole dynamic. And how do you prepare yourself for that? How do you get ready to train the person? It may be a simple situation and there's not a whole lot of training to go through. Or in our case with Ben, we have a training manual, basically, of here's all the things you need to know, here's all the equipment he uses, and figure that out ahead of time. And the third thing is you need to understand how to nurture the relationship with that person. So it's in some ways it's almost mechanical to kind of go through the interviewing and selection and bring them in and train them. But once they're there, how do you keep it going? How do you keep them bringing their best every day? Because they're people too. They have things they're dealing with in their life. And how do you keep that relationship fun and professional, but also making sure that they're enjoying what they're doing and they're giving the best care they can to your family member.
Beautiful, beautiful. You guys have done so much. So what are you guys working on right now? What's up and coming for these soaring families? Because this is really exciting stuff.
So there's a couple of things. I mean, this really gets us going every day to do this kind of stuff. But 6 years ago, I self-published my first book. It's called Third Time Lucky: How Ben Shows Us the Way. And what we've done is we've taken, a lot has happened, not only from the 6 years since we've written it, but since he was born 20 plus years ago. So we wanted to take that story and sort of bring it to current day. And the way we did that is we created an audiobook version of it. And that's coming out very soon.
Yay!
And yeah, so it's really sort of the motivational side, is to tell you in our words, and it's actually Jan and I narrating it. So we can take the written word and put all the emotion we want into it so that you know exactly what is like to feel, to be there.
Wow.
And we've added a couple of new chapters as well, along with some commentary around the coping side of it, is how it can help you with that and show you all the things we messed up with and had no idea what we were doing. And then sort of, contrast that with here's some things and some advice that you can do. So that's coming out very soon, within the next couple of weeks. And in conjunction with that, we've been working with a company to develop a mobile app for soaring families. So basically that's going to be the mechanism for you to listen to the book. Is if you download the app to your phone, Apple or Android, then you can listen to the book on your phone. And the other thing is all the other training we have, including what we call the caregiver support formula, which talks about how to bring a great caregiver into your life. That training is available too. So most people, as you know now, I mean, they won't sit at a computer, they'll have their phone in their hand. And we wanted to make it as easy as possible for them to get the training, to have that access available. And the one more thing I'll tell you is with this app, is there's an ask feature. So the big part that we're learning, I mean, it's great to have all this training. You can go through it and I know how to bring a caregiver, but then what? Once you, there's all kinds of things that happen every day and events and situations. So this ask feature is really a direct channel to me and Janice, because we want to support people after the fact and ongoing. If they have any questions, and rather than have we do have a Facebook group, but this is a more personal and direct contact to us that we hope will be really valuable for people.
Oh, how amazing. Well, you guys are doing such amazing work. So
Thanks.
Please tell us some tips that we can give families that they can start applying right now.
Sure. Okay. So the first thing is to accept help. I mean, you hear people say all the time, give me a call, let me know how I can help. Dan often say, well, I've got a whole bunch of laundry for you to do. Can you come and help me with that? So even if people will, if they do offer, accept it. Don't say, oh, yes, thank you very much, I'll give you a call. Accept it. You need to have that help, even if it sounds something so minor as, doing your laundry. The other part of it is, and it's a little bit harder to do necessarily, but you want to be a good friend in the sense that there's a lot going on in your life and you may be troubled. You don't want to be portrayed as the victim all the time. Be a good friend to other people. You need people in your life and they need you just as much. So figure out how to do that. Don't figure out how to sort of plant those seeds of that relationship as you go forward. A simple thing that we've done, because we've had countless visits to hospitals or to other physicians or other specialists, is we made a quick reference card for the key things around. It sounds simple, but all the things about Ben, because they would have asked, what meds does he have? What's all the the vital things you need to know about. We made a quick reference card. So when we're seeing somebody new, or if it's an emergency situation, we just give them the card. Here's the up-to-date thing. So you don't have to go through it all. They can just use that. And if you do get into a healthcare issue, or especially in our case, if I go back 20 plus years, when you're given this laundry list of problems, you don't even know where to begin. But fortunately now depending on where you live, there's often a navigator or a navigation service to kind of help you figure out which departments to talk to. So ask for that right away. Figure out who can help me sort through all this clutter and all this complexity and get me to the right people at the right time.
Wow. And how does somebody learn more about Soaring Families? Where do we go to learn more about you?
So just our website is soaringfamilies.com. It talks about the audiobook. You can listen to the first chapter for free. Once we get the audiobook out there, that'll be available. We do have a regular blog, talk about caregiving and coping. So we'll talk about things of, well, how do I trust a caregiver? Or how do I know when the right time is to bring in a caregiver? Things like that. And the other part is there is training on there around bringing a caregiver in. So that's the easiest way to reach us. Sign up, follow us on Facebook. And once this app's available, get the app. I mean, even if you don't want to buy anything from us, the app can keep you connected to what we're doing.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. That was so inspirational. Thank you for everything that you are doing and all your amazing work that you are doing that helps so many families. We need more people. We need to clone you and to help everybody else. Because you are doing such amazing work. So thank you again for being on today's show.
My pleasure.
Did you see how easy that was, you guys? The power of your health and your stress and your coping are in your hands. You can live the life that you were actually meant to live by managing your stress. How? By following exactly what Mike had told us today, along starting with living the attitude of gratitude by focusing on 10 things every day, focusing on all the things that the universe has given you, not what the universe has taken away. Incorporate a stress management technique into your daily routine, and always remember to breathe and focus on now. Because there's so much love around you, we got to just take that in and focus on all the good that's around us. So thank you again for joining me. Until next time, follow my family and I on social media, HolisticMomMD, and check out my book, The Holistic RX, Your Guide to Healing Chronic Inflammation and Disease, and my children's book, My Healing Day. Remember, I'm here for you. We're all here for you. Let's do this together. Healing can be so simple. Let's make it stress-free. You got this. Real healing for real life. Thank you.